Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and I'm here in the Twilight Zone. Literally, the Twilight Zone is the 2 hours between when pretty much everything closes and the curfew starts. So I'm hitting up the gym, or not the gym, obviously not the gym, the park. And I've never appreciated parks more than when it was basically one of the only things that we're allowed to go to in this county. But anyway. On my main channel, I did a video where I basically said, stop watching Netflix, it's time to get to work. But you can do both. I've been getting a lot of work done for my business, but I've also been watching a lot more movies and TV shows than I usually do. I just recently rewatched two movies that I had watched many times when I was in Afghanistan. The first one, I kind of knew it was going to hold up. It's actually an excellent movie. The second one is trash, but it's good trash, and man alive, did it hold up more than I ever thought I would. So the two movies were Hot Rod, which I believe came out in 2007, and then Strange Wilderness, a movie that has 100% fallen down the memory hole, which came out in 2008. When did I see them? I believe 2008 to 2009 when I was in Afghanistan. In longer deployments, you're going to get a 2 weeks, mid-tour leave. But the reality of that is that you can't have your entire platoon, go on 2 weeks vacation in the middle of the deployment. So basically, a month after the deployment starts and a month before it ends, you start sending, like 2 people every week or so for their leave. And back in the day, the main thing to do was you were supposed to come back with VLC files for people to watch on the VLC player. So after a patrol, you're supposed to do a bunch of things, standard things. Mainly the first thing is you're supposed to clean your weapons and your optics. And if you're actually doing it and paying attention, it's about an hour and a half job. Just because usually, you're going to have, your personal weapon, your optics, your night vision, night optical devices. Then you should be, honestly, most people don't do this every day or after every patrol, but you're actually supposed to even clean out your magazines and things like that. Clean your ammo, the frickin' ogive on your frickin' gently clean the ogive on your 203 rounds. An hour and a half is just the perfect amount of time to watch a comedy. So back in the day, the ones I remember were like Don't Mess with the Zohan, Hot Rod, I believe Step Brothers, and Strange Wilderness. And for some reason, especially in my squad, Strange Wilderness was like the movie. But the one that I loved personally was Hot Rod. So Hot Rod is, it's got a very interesting, there was always something I never quite got about it, and then I finally did some research about it and it clicked. Hot Rod is a trans movie. It doesn't have trans characters, but it is trans in its soul. I find it very funny. I found it funny back in 2008, 2009. I found it funny yesterday. But there was always something a little different about it, because back in the time they were still doing all the Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore productions, style, Grandma's Boy stuff, and this was a little bit different because it had more of an emotional core. It's a funny emotional core, but it's an emotional core. So Hot Rod is about this guy named Rod, played by Andy Samberg, and he's kind of a grown-up kid. I don't think they ever specifically say what his age is. I think the character is supposed to be mid-20s. He hangs out with a crew of losers in generic American town, USA, and he wants to be a stuntman because he thought that spoilers, he thought that his dad was a stuntman, but he actually died in a pie eating contest. But he has this complicated relationship with his stepfather, who is very masculine, very macho, and basically just, busts his balls all the time. You're a failure, you're a loser, you're not a man, you can't grow a mustache. Rod wears a fake mustache when he does his stunts. And then we find out that the stepfather has a heart condition and he's dying, but if he gets a surgery, it can save him. And I always love one of the things. It's almost like, you know how you cut a magnet and it always has north and south poles. You just keep cutting it. The jokes are funny, the bits are funny, the characters are funny, the plot is funny. Rod is trying to get his stepfather a heart surgery so that he can heal, so that he can beat up his stepfather and prove that he's a man. The other thing that I love about this is that, getting back to the transness, so I did some research. I always assumed this was just Andy Samberg and his buddies from the Lonely Island, Jorma Taccone and Akiva Schaffer. Everyone has a very, I'm a special little guy name. Andy Samberg is a pretty, usual name, but Akiva Schaffer and Jorma Taccone, come on. It feels like you're dooming your kid to have food allergies if you name them Akiva or Jorma. But they're all friends. They grew up together, and they ended up, getting, hired at Saturday Night Live together. They made this movie together. So I really like that aspect. Getting back to the trans aspect, I was like, this is like, young guys doing guy humor, but there's like this emotional bit to it. And then I finally found out that the script was written by a woman. Now, they basically rewrote all of the jokes because they're very much in the Lonely Island style of, guy humor / anti-humor. There are jokes that are just like, you cannot explain them. And on a script, they would absolutely make no sense. One of my favorite bits is, it's set in this kind of pseudo 1980s, and they're going for the big finale. They're gonna, jump all the cars, and they start. It's like a music montage, and people are like walking out of the street to follow them because they hear the music of the montage. But then it turns out into this horrible riot. And then the best stinger is they have, I'm forgetting his name, the guy from Eastbound and Down. He's everyone's talking about how, that was like really positive and it got really negative and there was violence. And then the guy from Eastbound and Down, he's like, yeah, man, it's just crazy how people will just like take something good and just turn it so bad. I mean, you just gotta get out of there and just hope that but all the while he's doing this sanctimonious speech, he's holding a TV that he looted, and nobody else in the group is doing it. I freaking love it. All the bits work, the character stuff work. You got Isla Fisher as the love interest. It's very sweet and sincere. Whereas usually movies like this are just played that everyone is a goofball, idiot, cartoon character, and they would probably be unlikable in real life. One of the things I always remember was Mel Blanc was talking about the Looney Tunes characters, and he goes, all of these characters, if their personality was in a human being, you would hate them. You put it in a duck or a rabbit or a really cartoony looking person like Elmer Fudd, you kind of take it. But if it was a real person acting like this, you would hate them. So Strange Wilderness is basically, if it wasn't made by a bunch of childhood friends, and if there wasn't an emotional core put in by a female writer. That being said, I laughed really hard watching this. This is grim gallows humor, weird humor. Like I said, especially gallows humor is very popular with infantrymen. I mean, not to be that maudlin, but when death is kind of your profession, you're going to have a pretty dark sense of humor. So recounting the jokes that me and my squad mates thought were funny would probably be impossible. Again, I feel like this is one of those ones where it had kind of a bare bones of a script. There's a weird thing where the two main characters have the names of the two screenwriters. Like, what's up with that? Because you have to sign you're signing your rights to your name. Like, I don't know, whatever. But it's about the guy who's in a lot of movies, so I can't think of his name. He was the sidekick in the Matthew McConaughey Dirk something adventure, Sahara. He was in Rescue Dawn. I always think about him from Rescue Dawn. But he's playing a guy whose dad had a nature show, and he died, and he misses his dad, and his show's getting canceled, and they're looking for Bigfoot. And if you're like, that sounds stupid, it's really stupid. Let me tell you, the Bigfoot is like the smallest part of this freaking movie. Bigfoot is literally like 5 minutes of this movie. The rest of it is just weird random jokes, road trip humor, and it freaking works really good. I was surprised. All I remembered from it is that there was this stoner character played by the guy whose name I can't think of. He was also in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. He was the lawyer. Where he at one point they're getting it right. He's like, "You want to fight me? I haven't been in a fight in 10 years. I'll fight you right." Like, we used to do that one. That was like the in-joke reference for my squad. We use that in every single situation. Somebody wants to freaking, shoot a freaking RPG at us from freaking probably more than the maximum effective range of an RPG. Somebody would bust out. He's like, "You want to fight me? I haven't fought in 10 years." Like, it was like, there's another bit where like he tattoos open eyeballs on his eyelids, so when he's closed eyes, these are not jokes you can explain. But so for the title, and I think about titles a lot, you might have saw Dumb Guys Humor, but it was actually Dumb, Guys, Humor. This is an in-joke to MREs, Meals Ready to Eat, from the military, where they will describe something like a space alien will describe it. You're going to see a cookie with M&Ms in it, and it's going to say cookie, with pan-coated discs. You have to do this weird kind of nomenclature where you do like the broadest definition, then you get more specific. So these movies are dumb, but they're not made by dumb people, both in the writing and in the acting. They're actually quite inventive and fun, but it is a goal. It is a goal to be stupid. It is a goal. And one other thing that I realized while watching, especially while watching Strange Wilderness, is these movies absolutely are not made to be watched alone. They are meant to be watched by friends. They are meant to be made fun of by your friends. And they are meant for 3 days later, when some random thing happens and you do a quote from it, and it's like the funniest thing in the freaking world. I love this style of humor. I miss this style of humor. It's kind of not allowed right now. There's little jokes here and there where even though it's like from 13, 12 years ago, there's still kind of bits where you're like, ooh, you can't do that anymore. And I'm not even being like, in SJW, it's like, wait, the joke is that the person's gay? Like, that's the entire joke. It's like, this guy's gay. I always remember from Saving Silverman, there's like an entire character where the whole joke is that he's Asian. This guy's Asian. Oh, getting back to Asian. There's a character named Richardson in, Hot Rod, who I kind of guessed this, but then I looked it up and it was accurate. It's another, friend of the Lonely Island crew, and I believe even from childhood, or at least from college. And he's kind of like this goofball character who kind of just wants to be in on the crew, and he's a little too weird and they don't let him in. But there's actual like really heartfelt moments in it. The attempts at being heartfelt in Strange Wilderness, they don't land. They're very formulaic. They're the things you see in every Sandler produced comedy of that era. But there's a point where they're trying to do a fundraiser for a fundraiser. They're trying to get a fundraiser to do operating costs for another fundraiser. And they're basically showing a bunch of clips of Rod that was assembled by his stepbrother. Now, it's supposed to be like, it's cool and funny and maybe a little tongue-in-cheek laughing at him. But what ends up happening is that people start actually like degrading Rod. Now, usually you would just cut to, the character crying and then maybe like tripping while leaving the theater, and that would be the joke. But then Richardson turns and like someone who actually cares for Rod, because one guy in the crowd goes, "This guy's a moron." It says it like in a really degrading way. And Richardson turns around in kind of like a realistic way. He goes, "Hey, shut up." And I think that might be why I like Hot Rod more than possibly any comedy. It's really funny. It's really silly. It's very much of its time, but there's like this emotional core where you're not supposed to just think of Hot Rod as like an idiot and a loser. You're actually supposed to care about him and his friends. I've got to say, as far as a one movie, I think it's like, 100 minutes long. There is as much lore in the world of this unnamed town as there is in like an entire, maybe like the first season of The Simpsons. Like, it's a very rich world that they create, and it's really kind of beautiful. I would love to see that entire team do something. I know they're all doing their own things. They're like all 40 in their 40s now, but it's really kind of and I've never met anyone who watched Hot Rod who said, that sucked. Everyone's like, I thought I was the only person who liked that movie. I've seen it like 50 freaking times. It's great. Hot Rod is a definite recommend. I would basically say if you took my recommendation and you liked Hot Rod and you want to see something that's 50% as funny with absolutely no heart or emotion to it, but with some kind of weird, there's some like really grim, I'll tell one of the jokes. So a minor character who helps out the crew in Strange Wilderness, he finds out his wife is cheating, and he says, when you find a guy who cheating, punch him in the face. And they're like, we're on it. And then they end up meeting him, and he's basically dying. He's been cut in half with by a pygmy attack that happened, or I'm sorry, you're not supposed to say pygmy, indigenous peoples attack, and he's cut in half. It's like something out of Saving Private Ryan. You're seeing guts everywhere. He's delirious. And then Alan Covert's character takes the lead character to the side. He goes, so you're gonna punch him? He's like, what? You promised to. He goes, yeah, I know, but, and then like really serious Alan Covert character goes, it's your call. It's like I'm gonna support you if you want to punch this guy who's been cut in half like something out of Saving Private Ryan. If you want to punch him, like, I won't say nothing. Like that is really, really funny in a really kind of like dark way. But anyway, so like I said, I would only recommend Strange Wilderness if you liked Hot Rod. If you didn't like Hot Rod, absolutely do not even try to watch Strange Wilderness. You will hate it. So anyway, thanks for watching. And I'll have, I'm really working through my different queues and watch lists. Hasbro put the first 5 episodes of the first G.I. Joe miniseries from way back in the day, 1983, the one with the mass device. So I'm working my way through that. So I think I'll probably be done with that tomorrow. And then I'm going to hit up Aliens on Amazon Prime Video. Thanks for watching. Bye.